Hi there, this is Datila with 3 Years of Wrestling, bringing you the Wrestling Time post show. And for tonight, I will be reviewing AEW Dynamite. Alright, so a lot happened tonight. A lot happened. Honestly, tonight was an overall fantastic, great show. And I'm going to talk about it in chronological order. There is some news that came out today, so I will also be talking about that news, but I'll talk about it as I get through each segment. Okay. So tonight's Dynamite kicked off with the Ocho, Chris Jericho, and Daniel Garcia versus Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. And it's so interesting that it was them four, because Chris Jericho beat Claudio Castagnoli to win the ROH title, and Daniel Garcia defeated Wheeler Yuta to win the ROH Pure Honor title. So I thought that was what a coincidence that it was them, right? All right, so this was honestly like a fantastic match. I actually really enjoyed this match. There's not one thing I disliked about this match, and I really liked that all four men, they went at it. So like there was this one time that there was a double boot to Daniel Garcia by Wheeler Yuta and Claudio. Garcia gave a headbutt to Wheeler Yuta. I like that Yuta gave elbows to Daniel Garcia, and then Claudio gave elbows to Chris Jericho. Of course, like Jericho Appreciation Society was at ringside, so they tried to cause a distraction. Honestly, if you ask me, Claudio Castagnoli was like the MVP of this match. He had two, in my opinion, like two good, like two of the best spots in this match, I should say. So the first one was when he did the airplane giant swing combo. He did the giant swing to Chris Jericho while doing an airplane to Daniel Garcia. That was the first one. And obviously the second spot was the finish. That finish was fantastic. Okay. So Claudio, after he did the swing airplane combo, he gave Jake Hager the boot because he attempted to cause a distraction. Then he took out Matt Menard with the clothesline. He stomped on Daniel Garcia, and then he uppercut Angelo Parker. And Claudio hit Chris Jericho with an uppercut, which he did so after he jumped off the rope and then hit him with the neutralizer. And so Claudio pinned Chris Jericho. Not Daniel Garcia. Yeah, Daniel Garcia. No. So it's interesting that it was Chris Jericho that got that. It was interesting. My bad. It's interesting that it was Claudio Castagnoli who got the pin, and he pinned Chris Jericho. So I'm sensing that it's going to be a rematch down the line here. But like also Wheeler Yuta, like he came aggressively at Chris Jericho and Wheeler Yuta. Are you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. I'm serious. He wrestle. Yeah. So Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta picked up the win here. And like I said, it was a great match to kick off Dynamite. I honestly really was a big fan of the match. But this leads into the Bryan Danielson segment, where he was backstage talking about how he's frustrated that Wheeler Yuta talked back to him, that he lost to Chris Jericho, that Daniel Garcia hit him with the title. And Wheeler Yuta then approaches him and says that he's glad Bryan Danielson is angry. Claudio tries to ease the tensions between Bryan and Wheeler. And Bryan basically says he's going to beat the crap out of Sammy Guevara. He's going to take out all his frustrations on him. So it's very interesting that like Claudio and Wheeler picked up the win. And then you have whatchamacallit, this backstage segment with Bryan Danielson, who says he's frustrated. So if he's frustrated, like he was about to like go at it with Wheeler Yuta. So that now there seems to be tension. There seems to be tension in Blackpool Combat Club, and I'm very curious to see where this tension is going to lead to. Like if Claudio hadn't separated them, they would have gone at it. All right. So after this, we got a very interesting video package or vignette is the Elite Vignette. And like, let me show you guys. There's some images from so some of the images had, here we go. They had this faded out logo, and then they had this one. It seems like they were being erased, which I thought was very, very interesting. And then what could this all this mean? Some people made the joke that Thanos like he did that, snap that finger, and he just erased them from existence, which I thought was hilarious. That was a funny joke. But there is some news to report about this. So Fightful Select reported that there is talk backstage of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks coming back to work, at the very least in a backstage capacity. There hasn't been any indication on when they can return to AEW TV. Fightful Select also reported that the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Don Callis were backstage at Dynamite. Don Callis was also at Rampage that took place in Jacksonville. PWI Insider also confirmed that the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega were backstage at Dynamite. So it's very interesting that they were backstage and then they showed this vignette. So it kind of tells me that, the plans are being set in motion for them to return. The question is, what type Elite is going to come back? Like, they're going to turn this whole into a storyline, because you guys remember, like, during where they were suspended, they took the Elite off the opening. They were trying to erase the Elite, it seemed like it, and it would be very interesting to see if they turn this into a storyline and how they go about it. So will the Elites be heel or will they be faces in this whole situation? Very curious and intrigued by all of this. Honestly, like, I cannot wait for them to come back. Like, what are they gonna say? Are they gonna acknowledge their suspension? Like, what? Like, I cannot wait for the Elite to come back. Okay, so then we get the Chris Jericho Appreciation Society segment, and Chris Jericho was not happy. He called the Blackpool Combat Club the Blackpool Cheater Club, and Chris Jericho had bought a bat into the ring, but he blamed it on Claudio. And he goes on to say that he's going to beat everyone, and he doesn't care anymore. He's going to beat everybody that was former Ring of Honor champion, former Ring of Honor tag champion. He even goes on to say women's champion. And so next week on Dynamite, he's going to have a match. I do apologize for the ambulance passing by, you guys. Next week, he's going to have a match on Dynamite against, we don't know. It's a mystery opponent, a former Ring of Honor champion. But there's still quite a few former Ring of Honor champions. Like, any guesses as to who you think he's going to face? I mean, there's still Adam Cole, baby. There's Samoa Joe. Bobby Fish is no longer with the company, but hey, who knows? Maybe he'll make a one-time appearance. Kyle O'Reilly is out. Obviously, he can't defend against Tyler Black because that's Seth Rollins and he's in WWE. Oh, like, who do you guys think which former Ring of Honor champion do you guys think he's going to accept Chris Jericho's challenge? I definitely would want to know your guys' opinions on that. Because I can't. There's like so many of them that I don't even know who would accept this challenge. Very curious. And I'm also curious to find out why he said women. Like, are they going to try to do intergender wrestling? That'd be something. But definitely let me know in the comments or in the live chat. Who do you think? You got your... Okay, that's cool. My money's on Joe. Oh, Samoa Joe. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Because Samoa Joe, he is a former Ring of Honor champion. Ooh, that'd be a good match. But I don't know if they wanted to do Jericho and Samoa Joe so quickly on. I feel like that's a pay-per-view quality match. It could possibly be signed. It could possibly be someone not signed to AEW too. Definitely gotta go through that list of Ring of Honor champions and see who could potentially it be. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, I'm back. All right, so then we get the number one contenders match. It's Swerve in Our Glory versus FTR. And so the reason this match came to be was because, according to Swerve Strickland, FTR has been number one contenders for like 7 months, and they never chose to use their opportunity. So that's how this match came to be. So I think that the Acclaim came out and watched this match, and the Gun Club also came out and watched this match. I really like this one spot where Keith Lee, he leapfrogged over FTR and he hit them with the crossbody. That was a cool spot, by the way. That powerbomb to Dax and then Dragon suplex to Cash. Oh no, my bad. I made a mistake. That powerbomb and then Dragon suplex to Swerve Strickland by Cash and Dax was actually pretty cool. I like that spot. So at some point, Keith Lee had been knocked down and he was out for a good while during this match, leaving poor Swerve Strickland alone with FTR. When he did get back up, I really like that Hurricanrana that Cash Wheeler did to Keith Lee. So here's one thing though, it seems to me like there's always been some type of miscommunication between Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee, because at some point Keith Lee accidentally knocked down Swerve Strickland, and while that happened, it allowed Swerve Strickland to hit Dax with a low blow while the ref was distracted, and then Cash Wheeler was being held by the Gun Club. So the ref didn't see that either, and so this allowed Keith Lee to pin Dax Harwood. And so Swerve and Our Glory are the number one contenders again. And so they're going to get their chance to challenge for the tag titles again. And, the Gun Club came out and they attacked and the Acclaim chased them off. So here's the thing though, Keith Lee has always been big on how they shouldn't be cheating, but yet Swerve Strickland gave Dax a low blow, meaning that he cheated in order to win this match. The crowd booed them. I personally wanted FTR to win because I want to see FTR versus the Acclaim, but I think it's too soon to do that match. And so Swerve and Our Glory winning actually makes sense, because now you had Swerve Strickland cheating in this match so that they can win. So what's going to happen when Keith Lee finds out that the reason why they won was because Swerve Strickland gave Dax Harwood a low blow, and the fact that the Gun Club was holding Cash Wheeler. So this is going to be all very interesting going forward to find out how Keith Lee's going to react to that. And I think, in my opinion, that when Swerve and Our Glory lose, because I think they'll lose to the Acclaim again, I think that's when they split. I really do think that's when they'll split up. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the live chat if you're rewatching the replay in the comment section down below. We get a quick Saraya segment. She basically calls Britt a bitch, and Renee tries to calm him down and say that they're gonna talk, they need to do it properly. I didn't watch Dynamite, but it looks like this is going to be the breakup of Swerve and Our Glory. I definitely do think that's definitely going to lead to the breakup. We get an MJF promo. Now, correct me if I'm mistaken, but this is the third week in a row we get an MJF promo, and I'm not complaining because his 3 promos that he's done, he's nailed all of them. They've all been fantastic promos, and I really like MJF's promos, and not to mention we're getting a small teases of a face turn. So he basically comes out, and the fact that it's Renee Paquette of all people entering MJF, Renee Paquette being the wife of Jon Moxley. Did you watch the interview with Britt Baker No, I did not watch the interview, but I have been hearing about it, so I definitely have to check that out. My favorite part of this whole promo was when MJF mocks Jon Moxley. He mocks him. And you can see Renee in the background, she just did not look amused. You could tell she was kind of she was just pissed. More MJF cutting promos. You listen to what that guy has to say exactly. Exactly. When he has a mic in his hand, you listen, because he cuts such fantastic promos. And whether you cheer or you boo him, that's up to you. But he just is amazing at promos. So I really, really like that part. That part was so hilarious. I wish I would have taken a screenshot of Renee Paquette's face, because she was just not happy with that. So MJF is basically talking about how he's going to wrestle his match against Jon Moxley relatively clean. And it got under his skin that Rigo told him He didn't use the brass knuckles because he had to, but it was because he wanted to. This is the promo that he had with William Regal last week. Again, very fantastic promo. If you have not seen it or you haven't heard it, I highly suggest you check it out because it was a very good promo. I got to watch this segment now because it sounds hilarious of MJF mocking Moxley. Yes, and look at Renee's face in the background. He also tells Renee to shut her mouth because he caused Moxley mid. Have you heard Saraya and Britt getting along? They're getting along? They're not getting along because I haven't heard that. So he makes a promise, and the promise is that he's not going to use a Dynamite diamond ring. He only needs a grudge to be successful. And that this chip on his shoulders that he's carrying, he's going to shove down the throat of every single scumbag who told him he wasn't good enough. He said he's not fighting Penta, he's not fighting Moxley, he's not fighting Regal, he's fighting those scumbags. Then Stokely Hathaway comes out, and MJF makes it known. And he tells Stokely Hathaway he does not want the firm to lay a hand on Jon Moxley. Like, he basically slaps that microphone out of Stokely Hathaway's hand. And because he wants Moxley or Penta, if they win, at 100%, because he does not want excuses. And he warns Hathaway not to go near Moxley or even look at him because otherwise he's fired. And the fact that at the end he says his catchphrase and the crowd says it with him just goes to show how over MJF is. And this promo actually plays into what happened at the end of a Dynamite, which I will talk about once I get there because it's actually really interesting. It really, really is because I have many questions. Okay, so we get a Kingdom promo. The Kingdom of Mike Bennett, Matt Taven, and Maria Kanellis Bennett. There is some news about them. So they debuted on Rampage and they challenged for the Ring of Honor titles, right? But here, this promo is interesting because Taven says that Wardlow is a terrible name and that he's going to challenge Wardlow for the TNT title on Rampage. I don't know how that came about. I really don't, because that's not who they challenged. But there, like I said, there is news to report. So Fightful Select reports that the Kingdom debuted in AEW, but weren't officially signed to deals at that time. But that has changed. They go on to say that FTR had also pushed for them to get involved, though they're not sure in what context. And since their first appearance, Maria, Mike, and Matt have officially signed multi-year deals with AEW. It doesn't say the amount of time, but I'm assuming it's probably 3 to 5 years. And Maria is, Fightful Select goes on to say, Maria is only contracted as a talent despite speaking openly about being open to helping book an ROH or the women's division. Have you heard treatments of Jon Moxley? Yes, I have heard Jon Moxley did resign with AEW. Or a contract extension, I should say. So it's very curious that she's a talent and not being used to book. So I guess that tells me that going forward, Tony Khan's still going to continue to book, do all the booking. And Maria, honestly, Maria did a pretty good job in ROH and she was doing good. And even though I don't think she helped book the women in Impact, she still did a pretty good job at her role in Impact, which was just an on-screen talent. Moxley has a contract extension. Yeah, I know that. That's what I meant. Tommaso Ciampa has undergone hip surgery. Yes, Johnny Gargano said it. So basically, to continue with the promo, Wardlow basically says that two things are inevitable for Matt Taven, and that Wardlow's going to win, and that Matt Taven will become another victim of the Powerball Symphony. So, nice little promo there. I'm actually pretty curious of the match. I like Matt Taven. I became a fan of Matt Taven during his time in Impact and as part of Honor No More. I don't think he's going to win. So that's why Ciampa has been out. Yeah, he's not. He's definitely not winning that at TNT. I would be shocked if he does. I wouldn't be mad, but I'd be shocked. So then we got Sammy Guevara versus Bryan Danielson. Now, Bryan Danielson earlier in the night had said he was frustrated and he would take all his frustration out on Sammy Guevara. And he definitely definitely took those frustrations out on Sammy Guevara, because he came at Sammy Guevara really aggressively in this match. I mean, like, he was hitting him with palm strikes, he was hitting him with the elbows, drop kicks, all this other stuff, a double underhook, everything. Like, he was throwing everything at Sammy Guevara. I did like the two Spanish flies that Sammy Guevara did to Bryan Danielson, though, and that reverse hurricanrana to Sammy Guevara was actually pretty cool. Now, Bryan Danielson ends up winning this after he hit the psycho knee to Sammy Guevara, which he followed up with stomps and then the triangle and the elbow strikes. So he pretty much beat the tar out of Sammy Guevara, and he was not kidding when he said that he was to take out his frustrations. Let me guess, Miedo Yellow got involved. Actually, she didn't do much. She was kind of just there. I'm surprised. And if she did get involved, I didn't see. But so surprisingly. So you get a Rey Fenix segment, and they're talking about how Penta has a match against Jon Moxley in the main event and has the opportunity to become a double champion. Rey Fenix was talking about how any member of the Death Triangle can become a double champion. And Luchasaurus and Christian Cage show up and basically tell Rey Fenix, because Rey Fenix wants to challenge for the All-Atlantic title, that the only person worthy of that All-Atlantic title shot is Luchasaurus. Then Orange Cassidy shows up and he says that the match will take place next week. So we're going to have another three-way match. It's going to be Orange Cassidy versus Rey Fenix versus Luchasaurus for that All-Atlantic title. I mean, it seems like Orange Cassidy is going to keep defending in three-way matches. All right. We get Riho versus Jamie Hayter. It was actually a good match. I didn't mind this match. Of course, Jamie Hayter came out with Britt and Rebel. Riho came out alone. It's a good match. Jamie Hayter won with the lariat. And afterwards, Toni Storm came out and she held up her title. So it seems like her rivalry with Jamie Hayter isn't over. And I wouldn't mind if they run it back again. Don't buy Luchasaurus seeing him as All-Atlantic champion. So we get an Eddie Kingston segment, and Renee Paquette asked him, like, how he's doing. He basically says he's great and he's wonderful, but he doesn't want to talk about himself. He wants to talk about Jon Moxley and his big match. And he says that it's going to be hard for Moxley to defeat Penta, and that he wants everybody to leave him alone. So I'm very curious to see where this storyline with Eddie Kingston is going. I mean, he cost himself a match against Sammy Guevara, and then last week it seemed like they staged an intervention for him. So hopefully we get bits and pieces there. All right. So Darby Allin has a promo, and he says that Sting hasn't been with him for at least a month because he told Sting personally himself about a month ago that he wasn't happy. He's not happy where he was going or who he was. He just wanted to crawl into a hole and disappear. And that Sting basically told him not to do that because he's a former TNT champion and the man that convinced him to come out of retirement. So basically, Darby said that he wanted to prove himself by himself, which is why Sting hasn't been with him. And he says that he wants Jay Leto's old friend to come to Dynamite him to his face what his biggest weakness is. Darby Allin acknowledges that his biggest weakness is himself. Eddie Kingston, I read, is still not trusting Claudio. They really hate each other. Dang, they do? What did Claudio do to Eddie Kingston? I gotta find out. And so, like I said, we get the matches where they're coming up on Rampage. TNT title match is set for Rampage, Wardlow versus Matt Taven. And then again, like I said earlier, Chris Jericho would defend against a former ROH champion on Dynamite. We don't know who he's defending against, but if you guys want to take any guesses, I definitely would like to know. I know Chris Movies and More said Samoa Joe. So yeah, Samoa Joe seems to be like a good guess. But there's actually a lot of them are Ring of Honor champions. Some not in AEW though. So the choices are kind of limited here. All right. Who is Matt Taven? You know who Matt Taven is? He's from the Kingdom. It's him, Mike Bennett, Maria Kanellis Bennett. All right, so our main event was the AEW World Championship match. It was Penta Cero Miedo versus Jon Moxley. I really like that Jon Moxley flips off Penta. I like that. Those back and forth strikes were cool. That slingshot DDT to John Moxley was really cool. Oh wow, sounds like a snore fest with them. Whew, what sounds like a snore fest? That DDT on the steel steps to Penta that John Moxley did, ouch, that looked like it hurt. I mean, I don't know how Penta was able to stand up after that. Now, interesting thing that John Moxley tried to rip off Penta's mask. I know Penta had a match in Triple Mania where his mask was on the line, but he ended up being victorious, so he kept his mask. So the match was good, but I want to talk about what happened after because it goes up to what MJF was talking about earlier. So John Moxley obviously ends up winning this match. I don't think that. I mean, I like Penta, but I don't think he was going to win. Taven, Maria Kanellis, and Mike Bennett. Really, I don't think they're. So after the match is over, the Firm attacked John Moxley. Stokely Hathaway comes out and he's watching all this. Now the Blackpool Combat Club was locked in their locker room. Someone put chains, so John Moxley was all by himself. He tried to fight back. Don't get me wrong, he did. Now MJF comes out and he's conflicted. He doesn't know what to do. Like there's a part of him that wants to help, but then there's a part of him that doesn't want to help. So he decides to help MJF, but the Firm end up turning on MJF. Like All Ego Ethan Page attacks MJF. W. Morrissey chokeslams MJF through the timekeeper's table. And that is pretty much how Dynamite comes to a close. So now the question here is sorry about that. The question here is MJF officially a face, or is he just messing with us? Because this could be all one big act to get us to believe that he is a good guy now, that he sincerely wants John Moxley at 100%. Or I see the Firm more like the Board, because nobody in that group sent out aside from Morrissey. I really didn't like the fact that W. Morrissey was a part of that. I don't think he needs a group. I don't think he needs someone to talk for him. He could talk for himself. Again, if you watched his run in Impact Wrestling, you would know that he is a good wrestler and that he can cut a promo. He does not need to be a part of a faction. That's just my opinion. You can feel free to disagree with me. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think MJF's face turn is like sincere, or do you think he's just like tricking us to get us to think that he actually needs it but doesn't? Morrissey looks like he doesn't want to belong and be in the group. Yeah, this is a whole different story. So what do you guys think about MJF? Do you guys believe MJF or not? There's a part of me that wants to believe MJF, but then there's a part of me that's like, I don't know. I mean, I think that he would be willing to do anything to beat John Moxley. And you know what? Looking back at their feud from 2020, I'm actually kind of glad MJF did not win at that time, even though I wanted MJF to win. I don't think he was ready. Here now, 2 years later, I think MJF is definitely ready to not only face John Moxley, but to beat him and become AEW World Champion. And when you actually stop to think about it, if MJF beats John Moxley at Full Gear, that would officially make MJF the first AEW World Champion, that homegrown talent that it has no connection to WWE and no connection to the Elite at all. That would make him the first official. I mean, Hangman, despite the fact that, yes, he was, I guess you can say, a homegrown talent, he still has that connection to the Elite. So MJF would be the first one with no connection to WWE or any, like, I guess you can say connection to the Elite. I would think so. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong here. But honestly, I cannot wait for Full Gear and for John Moxley and MJF. But with that being said, tonight's show was a really great show. There's not one thing I disliked about it. And honestly, now that Shawn Spears is back to doing the perfect 10, I can say this. This show was a Shawn Spears perfect 10. Not a Preston 10 Vance 10. A Shawn Spears perfect 10 out of 10. So with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continuous support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And also, too, if you haven't done so, I did unbox the Lightning Collection Yellow Power Morpher, so feel free to check that out. And I will be doing more Power Rangers content coming soon. But aside from that, I'll see you guys live on Friday after Rampage. Bye.